Good afternoon and welcome to this program, a very special program brought to you by the People's Progressive Party Civic. And I'd like to welcome you viewers also who are joining us in the ancient County Berbice, as well as those of you who are joining us from around the world. I am Michael Gordon. With me today are both PPPC candidates, Mr. Attorney at Law Sanjeev Datadin, and of course, Bishop Juan Edghill. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Sanjeev, I know you have a very important engagement in a few moments. So I'd like for us to have some discussions in relation to the current state of play with the elections 2020. Yesterday, you would have seen statements coming out of the US State Department, the CARICOM chairperson, who happens to be the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Commonwealth Secretary General, the Organization of American States the day before, all have been calling for a clear and transparent conclusion to the Ghana elections. What is even more shocking is the violent nasty attacks that these individuals and organizations have been met with, since it does not fit into the narrative of the APNU AFC supporters. I'm going to begin with you, Bishop.
Well, Michael, thank you for having me, and greetings to my colleague Sanjeev and to all your viewers and listeners. Nothing that the PNC-led APNU AFC has done is surprising to me or to the majority of Guyanese. It's the same old PNC. Riggers, where the chief rigger is the leader of that group, who happens to be the de facto president at this time. It is the same style of bullyism, intimidation, condemnation, and manipulation. It is the same group of people who look after themselves, preserve their self-interest, and use people as excuses to get what they want. No care, no concern. So they're beating up on the Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, current chairman of CARICOM. It's no surprise. It has just followed a string of such behavior. Whenever someone, any voice of reason, any voice of conscience, any voice of decency, dare to lift a finger and say you are wrong, that is the treatment you are meted out, that they are greeted with, and it's meted out to them. So the Guyanese people must lift their voices in condemnation. And I dare say to all the silent ones, silence is not an option now. You know you will get your cuss out. You know they will accuse you of all kinds of things, but silence is not an option, because if we allow silence to continue, then this dictatorship will really manifest itself and it will harm everybody. So I would like to say, Michael, I believe wholeheartedly that the good will triumph over this evil plot, this conspiracy that is headed by David Granger himself, the use of his minions, his surrogates, and some from the lunatic fringe group who are spelling their hate language and stirring up and agitating with their loud hailers and their speakers across the community and their strongholds, will soon be seen for what it is: lies, deception, no basis in truth, and there will be a full exposure. And I believe the democratic will of the Guyanese people will ultimately prevail.
Sanjeev, the past 24 hours have been, as a Guyanese, for me, and this is from a personal perspective, somewhat embarrassing because of the vile attacks on individuals, especially the chairperson of CARICOM, and the depth to which individuals continue to stoop in defense of the rigging and the theft of an election process.
Indeed. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our listeners or viewers. Good afternoon to my colleague, Juan. There is something very sinister when only a few months ago, Prime Minister Mia Motley received from this de facto government, the Order of Roraima. She came to Guyana to receive same. They recognized that she was, and she still is, in my view, someone of integrity, someone who was worthy of that. Now, a mere few months later, when what she's saying doesn't suit their narrative anymore, and what she's saying essentially is you must respect the will of the Guyanese people. There was a vote and then there was a recount. And be honest with yourselves, that recount was public. It was broadcast live. All 12 of the stations were broadcast for everyone to see on social media, on television, on radio. There is no reason that anyone will have to doubt what took place there. The recount of the votes were clear as day. Now what we have is she doesn't suit their narrative, so they attack her. Like you said, the OAS have been attacked this morning. Norway has made a statement. They have been swiftly attacked. Everyone who says anything are subjected to these vile and nasty attacks. And it's horrendous. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this, and I'm ashamed, honestly, to be Guyanese, that we have just given someone a national award. And what they're saying doesn't favor one side or the other. What everyone is speaking about is the rights of the people of Guyana, not either political party. And I believe they've said so expressly. We have no concern in the interest of any side who is declared the winner. Our concern is the people voted on March 2nd. There has been a count of the votes and a recount of the votes. We know who the winner is, and you should declare the winner and stop doing things to subvert the will of the people and to impose what you want by rigging the election. That's all that everyone is saying.
In your own view, Sanjeev, let's talk about the credibility in this current moment, the credibility of APNU FC. Clearly, the coalition has lost the elections. Using every fraudulent, bully tactic, every means to hang on to power. What next? What are your views on the position that the coalition has put itself into as it relates to credibility, not in the context of Guyana, but globally? It has now become coalition against the world.
Well, it is coalition against the world, but simply because who will agree with what they are doing? Who will support what they are doing? There is no person, entity that will go along with such a blatant attempt to deprive the Guyanese people of their chosen leader. There would be no entity would do that. But you see, I have to say this, in my opinion as well, the number of people that you notice who were speaking up in the name of the coalition are dwindling. And the reason it's dwindling is because people are realizing that they're being used and they're being deceived. And slowly but surely, they are taking a step back because they're saying, you know what, we don't want to do this. But the rigging cabal who stand to benefit and who enjoy the sweet of being in government do not want to give up. They want to continue to do that. And they will attack anyone and everyone in the most vile ways. We have seen all night from yesterday evening the vile attacks that have been made on Prime Minister Motley. Some of it is absolutely unspeakable, and no one should do that. But why isn't the Ethnic Relations Commission? Why aren't they looking at that? Why aren't the police looking into hate speech? But these things are happening with impunity now. Because as desperation grows, so does the rhetoric. They are attacking individuals, they are attacking entities, they are attacking organizations, and they're attacking entire countries because all what they are trying to do, which is to rig the election, they're not being allowed to do it because everyone is speaking up against them and everyone is pointing out to them so that the whole world knows. Guyana had a recount of its votes, and the whole world knows that in the recount of those votes, Irfan Ali is the winner. And the PPPC has won the election. Nobody is in doubt of that. You notice with them in the attacks, they don't have anything to say about that. The attacks are never the content of what is being said. The attacks are about the personality, and the attacks are from the ridiculous to the sublime. I have not been in politics for very long, but even I have been subjected to attacks about issues of with the Dr. Jack. These things are so preposterous. But honestly speaking, I don't know who invents these things. But it's good fiction. They might make money selling books. You never know. But they need to accept this. And I echo what Bishop said.
Bishop, what is unfortunate is the reality that some activists from the PNC have been going around with loud hailers. And information has come to me that this is also happening in Berbice, informing the ordinary Guyanese, the civilians, the ordinary citizens, that the APNU AFC has won these elections. What is unfortunate is the fact that you've seen the ordinary members of the party and supporters of the party, of the coalition, taken to the streets, whilst the executive of the party, the executive of the coalition, continue to be enjoying the lucrative benefits of contracts and land grabs and a whole range of other corrupt issues. And the ordinary people are in the streets and they are being manipulated and used.
Well, Michael, this is an old PNC tactic. You know, it is easier to fool people than to convince them that they are fooled. And that is what they have done with their supporters. They have fooled their supporters. Now we have this great job to convince them you are fooled. The fact of the matter is, every evidence that is available shows that the PPPC has won these elections by more than 15,000 votes.
And of course, if I could jump in here, Lowenfield's fraudulent report makes it worse. It's more harmful than good.
Now, the issues that are at hand is that you have a group of people whose democratic cultures does not exist. There's no democratic culture among them. They want to stay in office. They want to benefit for themselves, their family, and their cronies. They have abandoned their own support base. 2016 through to 2018. Nobody saw them. During that period of time, they were busy traveling, buying their handbags, their suits, making their bank accounts overseas, getting their children into universities, building their houses, buying their yachts, and all the things that they did with the monies that they from the public purse. A no confidence motion came, and they started what was called they're taking the cabinet to the people and begging them and so on. They have lost the elections. They have secured their future through their wicked schemes. They are buying time and they don't want to give up. So you have the likes of a few like Figuera in Linden and Barbara Pilgrim and others in Berbice who they have just joined the gravy train. And they know without an APNU AFC government, they got nothing. They don't have a life, they got nothing. They have benefited the little that they could get and they expect more. So they are hoping to whip up support for the APNU AFC. So they got a 50 people or so to march the other day because they fooled them. And they're going again with lies. I got a call from Ibini in the Berbice River. People are asking me about Is it truly the coalition one? I have to ask them on what basis. Mingo made 2 declarations, 2 different numbers, fraudulent. Lowenfield provided 2 reports, fraudulent. The thing that the whole world saw is what Sanjeev spoke about. 2,339 boxes votes in those boxes were counted before 14, 15 people physically present with an audio live stream with international observers and local observers. At the end of those counts, people signed on authenticating the numbers. Those documents were taken to a room where on NCN and by way of live stream, everybody saw the tabulation. The facts of the matter is the PVPC has won those elections. On what basis would Mr. Grange and Vaughan go and tell people they won? And they have their surrogates and the lunatic fringe group of James Bond and Sherrod Duncan and Christopher Jones and Burke and Ben Scott, people who suffer from mental health issues because they don't even know the truth or they have spoken lies so often, the lies are now appearing to them to be true. And I don't understand. But you see, don't let us take it for granted because their intention is to sow enough hate and discord so that when the case of the CCJ is completed and GCOM makes their declaration, there are people who would revolt and will not accept. And that gives them what they want, to create confusion in the country. But I agree with Sanjeev, that group of persons who would have responded to that kind of a behavior is becoming smaller and smaller. Do you know that while we were doing the recount, getting people from Georgetown to participate for them was a big issue? They had to bring in people from Linden and Berbice to sit in those counting stations. The Georgetown group, which is what Paula Lawrence controlled, and she signed the Mingo Declaration. She couldn't get Georgetown people in there. They weren't there. They had to bring in people from West Berbice, the Carol Josephs, and the others who you don't know if they are really here or there. So they're unable to mobilize in Georgetown. The group you see they had the other day at the Court of Appeal, Figueroa was wrong Linden trying to rip up people to put them in buses, so 30-seater left with 17 people. That was the kind of mobilization they were able to get. And they're doing the same thing now in Berbice because they figure that Berbice is a hotbed. They're seeking to punish Berbicians further. Having closed the Showe estates, they're now seeking to sell it and get rid of it before the new government takes over to punish Berbice further. So what they're doing with sowing those seeds of discord in Berbice with their loudhailer and their misinformation and their campaign of lies and deceit, it's a wicked scheme to deceive people to get a certain kind of a reaction. So I'm glad, Michael, that we have a program like this, that the people who have been fooled could be able to hear the truth, but the difficulty, it is easier to fool the people than to convince them that they are fooled.
Our time is practically gone, Sanjeev. And I want to raise in closing, and I'm going to limit the length of your responses. The actions of the APNU AFC, PNC, and Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield continues to endanger Guyana as a whole. It continues to push this country, those actions continue to push this country on the brink. And you hear things like sanctions and the whole host of other things. But there are direct consequences for these actions. In closing, I'll ask both of you to extrapolate a bit on some of these consequences. We all know it.
Michael, you see, we have, we belong to a world where we're like a League of Nations. Nations are expected to honor certain basic tenets and values and have basic morality. But what the standing government, our government that remains now, and what the Chief Elections Officer and their other public officials in GCOM, like Mr. Mingo, were doing, is they have made Guyana lose all credibility because everybody knows that they're lying, including them. but they insist on it and they declare it, and they're public officials, they're important persons in our society, but they do this. What will result? Who will want to do business with us? I think it is clear to all the sanctions that are going to come are going to be personal sanctions against those who benefit from it, but there will be national sanctions too. Everyone is going to punish. We're going to head Maduro, who is next door, and we all know what's going on in Venezuela. He has done exactly the same thing, and he has also put his country at risk. And look at what is happening in his country. The destruction of Venezuela took place right before our eyes. People
Mass
are
exodus.
starving. People are starving. So regrettably, if we continue along this path, we're going to continue and we're going to punish our own people. We are the ones who will punish for this.
All right, Bishop, your closing thoughts.
Yes, what Granger, as the ringleader and the kingpin in this conspiracy and the chief beneficiary of this rigging machine, is seeking to do is to take us back to the days of Burnham, when we become an isolated country, when we can't participate, benefit. The international financial institutions are unable to engage us. The private sector are unable to complete business transactions with foreign banks to be able to get goods into our country. But you know what? I am making this call this afternoon. I believe it's time for sanctions to start personally against all of them, because they're not moving. They're digging in deeper and deeper and deeper. Their wickedness is becoming more pronounced and unbelievable. And this must not be seen as Harmon and Valder and Granger is this good man. I subscribe to that view that Granger is a sanctimonious gangster. He sits there with a smile, kneels in a church and pray, but he is the one who is benefiting from it. He's the one who's directing it, and he's the one who's overseeing it. So it must start with Granger coming down to that small group of 30 or 40 people. And I would want to say to the international community, to our regional community, and to our international financial and development partners, put the squeeze on the 30 so that we could save the whole country. I don't want to see Guyana being destroyed. I don't want to see our economy being ruined. I don't want to see our prospects of oil being put on hold. I want to see the new wave of prosperity in Guyana. We must not allow these 30, 40 people to hold us ransom. So it's time for us to put so that we could save Guyana. I think it's time that President Mohamed Irfan Ali is sworn in, the PPPC government assumes office, and we start bringing relief to the people and put Guyana on a new path of prosperity and development.
All the people of Guyana.
Where I stand on this, Michael.
All the people of Guyana. Gentlemen, thank you for this brief discussion. Bishop Juan Edghill and Attorney Sanjeev Datadin. I know you have a CCJ engagement, Sanjeev, so I'll allow you to take your leave. Thank you, both of you, for joining me for this program.
Good afternoon to both. Good afternoon to your listeners, and may your God be with you.
This has been Government in Transition. I am Michael Gordon. Thanks for watching.